Your dog is asleep on the floor right now, paws twitching, eyes moving behind closed lids, making small sounds you've never quite heard them make while awake. And you've probably watched that and smiled. Maybe said something like, "They're dreaming about chasing squirrels." But here's the question you didn't finish asking. What if they're not dreaming about squirrels? What if they're dreaming about you? Not in some vague warm blur of familiar smells, but specifically, your face, your voice, the particular way you come through the door every evening. And here's the part that should genuinely stop you. What if right now, while you're going about your day, the animal that loves you most is replaying moments with you, inside a sleeping brain, the same way you replay memories of people you've lost? Let's start with what we actually know. For most of history, scientists assumed dreaming was a uniquely human experience. The idea that animals had rich enough inner lives to generate dreams felt like projection, like wishful thinking. Then in 2001, two researchers at MIT changed everything. Matthew Wilson and Kenway Louie were studying rats running mazes during the day. They recorded the exact pattern of neurons firing in the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, as each rat navigated the maze. Then the rats went to sleep, and the same neurons fired again. In the same sequence, at the same speed. The rats weren't just sleeping. They were replaying the maze, rerunning the experience inside their sleeping brains with a precision that was, statistically, virtually impossible to explain any other way. They were dreaming about what they did that day. And here's what matters. The hippocampus doesn't work differently in rats than it does in you. The same structure, the same mechanism, the same memory replay system that causes you to dream about your day was running in those rats as they slept. Wilson said it directly. If you could get inside the rat's head, he believed you'd see something that looks like a memory, something that looks like a dream. So animals dream. That part is settled. The harder question is what? In 2000, researchers at Harvard, Barrett in particular, began studying what animals dream about based on behavioral observation during REM sleep. Her conclusion was straightforward and slightly uncomfortable. Animals dream about the things that matter most to them during waking life. For rats, that meant mazes and food. For dogs, it likely means smells, chases, and, this is the part the research kept returning to, the people they're attached to. Here's why. A dog's emotional life is not built around other dogs the way a wolf's is. Domesticated dogs over 15,000 years of living alongside humans have rewired their social brains around us. We are their pack. We are their primary attachment. We are, for most dogs, the most emotionally significant thing in their daily experience. The hippocampus replays what matters. You matter. There's a structure in the brain called the amygdala. It tags memories with emotional weight, signals which experiences are important enough to consolidate, replay, and store. High emotion equals high replay priority. And for a dog, few things carry more emotional charge than you walking through that door. Which means the most emotionally significant moments of a dog's day are likely the moments involving you. And those are exactly the moments the sleeping brain reaches for first. Here's where it gets complicated. Not all animals dream equally. The amount of REM sleep an animal gets, the stage most associated with vivid dreaming, correlates with brain size and complexity. Large-brained animals with complex social lives get significantly more REM sleep than simpler creatures. Dogs spend about 12% of their sleep in REM. Cats closer to 25%. Rats around 20%. Humans? About 20 to 25%. But here's the number that changes things. Puppies and kittens spend dramatically more time in REM sleep than adult animals. Some studies suggest upward of 50% of their sleep. The theory is that young animals are processing enormous amounts of new information, new smells, new faces, new experiences, and the dreaming brain is how they make sense of it all. Which means the puppy that just came home with you and spent its first week learning your face, your smell, your voice, the sound of your laugh, is likely spending half its sleeping hours replaying exactly that. You are, possibly, the primary content of a puppy's dreams. Here's what we still can't answer. We can record which neurons fire. We can map the sequence of a memory replay. We can measure REM duration and correlate it with emotional attachment. What we cannot do is get inside the experience. There's a question philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. Why is there something it feels like to be anything? Why isn't the brain just processing information in the dark? Inputs, outputs, no inner experience at all. We don't know the answer for humans. We definitely don't know it for animals. But here's what the neuroscience keeps suggesting, quietly, study after study. The structures that generate experience in your brain exist in theirs. The hippocampus, the amygdala, the brainstem systems that regulate REM sleep. The same hardware. running the same basic software. In dogs, in cats, in rats, in birds, in creatures whose evolutionary lines split from ours hundreds of millions of years ago. If experience arises from those structures in you, the honest scientific position is that it probably arises from them too. In 2012, the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness, signed by a group of leading neuroscientists, stated this directly. The neurological structures that generate conscious experience in humans are not unique to humans. The lights, they argued, are very likely on, which means somewhere in that sleeping brain, something is watching a memory play. There's a study that surfaces whenever researchers discuss animal attachment. Dogs were shown photographs of human faces, strangers, familiar people, and their owners, while their brain activity was monitored. When they saw their owner's face, the reward centers of their brain lit up more strongly than for any other stimulus, including food. You outrank food. In a dog's brain, the structure that says this matters, remember this is important, you are the highest priority signal it processes. And at night, when the brain goes through its filing and replaying and consolidating, it starts with what matters most. Now nobody can say for certain that your dog is dreaming of your face specifically. Science is honest about that limit. But here's what science can say. Your dog's brain is built to prioritize you above almost everything else. Its memory system replays emotionally significant experiences during sleep. And you are, by the brain's own accounting, the most emotionally significant thing in its life. You do the math. There's a moment that a researcher named Stanley Coren describes in his work on dog cognition. He was watching his dog sleep. The dog, an older retriever, was deep in REM. Paws moving slightly. Soft sounds. Clearly somewhere else entirely. And Coren found himself wondering, genuinely, scientifically wondering, whether the dog was somewhere good. Whether the place the sleeping brain had gone was warm. Whether he was in it, he couldn't know. Nobody can. But here's what he did know. The dog had spent 15 years building a life whose primary emotional content was their time together. Every walk, every morning, every evening on the couch. 15 years of experiences tagged by the amygdala as important. Remember this. This matters. The sleeping brain doesn't invent. It returns. It goes back to what it loves. So the next time you watch your dog's paws twitch or your cat's whiskers flicker, or whatever animal shares your life drift somewhere deep and unreachable in sleep, you might not be able to know for certain where they went. But you know what mattered to them. You know what their brain spent 15 years deciding was worth remembering. And maybe that's the only answer that was ever going to be enough. The sleeping brain goes back to what it loves. And for a lot of animals on this planet, that's you.